What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians operating globally and beyond. So listen, I had a Patreon commenter suggest that I give a bit more insight as to what nuclear P entails. I thought it was a good idea, so today I'm going to cite 3 examples. The first 2 examples will be real-world examples from my personal experience, and those 2 examples include a former Miss Teen Illinois contestant who, at the time, this is some years ago, she was 22. The second example is a TSA officer who I would frequently encounter when I traveled from O'Hare Airport. She was about 21 years old. And the third example, I don't know her personally, unfortunately, but most people are familiar with Erykah Badu. Okay, so those are the 3 examples that I'm going to cite, and I'm going to break down the characteristics that went into and that ultimately go or factor into what nuclear P entails. All right, so here we go. First off, we got the former Miss Teen Illinois contestant. And at the time that I had met her, she was about 22, like I said. She was married. She was, in her own words, living a boring life. She was bored. The way she described it, she had lived a quote-unquote wild life before settling down into what her father and ultimately her family had expected her to. Excuse me. Now, I guess the exploits of her quote-unquote wild past had to do with college life. She partied a lot, she traveled a lot, and she experienced a lot of interesting twists and turns along the way. This is all, after, joining and applying for the Miss Teen Illinois contest and getting that type of exposure. So she was in a sorority, and she married actually a fraternity guy. And it was really for the look, it was for what the family expectation was. They came from a long line of, college educated, fundamental Black Americans. And so there was that expectation that, of course, you're going to follow this line. You're going to go to college, join a sorority, marry a fraternity guy, get a corporate job, and, just carry on the family legacy, which is what she had done. And the time that we encountered each other was when she was in the corporate world, and our paths crossed downtown Chicago near the financial district. And basically, in the summertime, a lot of people go to the plaza at 1 Chase Way, which is the Chase Bank building, downtown Chicago. Basically, they have a huge plaza that has a food court. But long story short, we end up meeting each other, and conversation kicked off. One thing led to another, and we were meeting each other at lunchtime and meeting each other after work for drinks and all kinds of crazy stuff. But here's where the nuclear P comes in, because let me tell you, it had all of the ingredients of nuclear P. I mean, description, as I always do, about 5'4", all right, stacked. And I mean, I'm not a breast man, but she had some beautiful round breasts and caramel skin, smooth, of course. I just remember how smooth her skin was. She took great care of her hands. Her hands were beautiful. Nice ass, beautiful legs, nice feet, everything. And when we had our exploits, I mean, we would get it on any and everywhere we could, and that's why it was so crazy. I mean, we got it on, downtown and elevators in random buildings. We got it on, at the W Hotel. We got it on in the back of cabs, we would, get all kinds of weird scenarios in. But what made it Nuclear P is that she was crazy. I mean, let me just be real. She had all of this pent up energy and anxiety inside, trying to fit this cookie cutter lifestyle, this Stepford wife expectation that her family and especially her dad had for her. And her husband wasn't the type of guy to take her for rides on the wild side. And let's zero it down. I mean, the pussy was just made for me, all right? And I think any guy who can attest to some Nuclear P will let you know. I mean, when you're inside it, it is the warmest, wettest, most home-like place you ever want to be in your life. And it's definitely the combination of her having a wild streak and almost wanting to get caught. And I think that was the thing that really made me take a step back, because every interaction that we had to be wild and more on the edge. Do it on a lakefront. Do it in front of the windows at a corporate suite or in a banquet hall or something like that. And I wasn't really about trying to blow this up, blow our cover and things like that. So eventually I had to end the liaisons. And actually what happened was the liaison ended up ending because she got pregnant. And at the time, she and her husband were undergoing fertility treatment. And I was like, all right, so we're obviously gonna get tested and everything like that. And ultimately it ended up not being mine. That was definitely the sign for me to cut ties and bounce, because she basically had her full family started, and that was her path. Whether she wanted it or not, it was there, and they just went on about their happily ever after. Now the second example for me of Nuclear P is a TSA officer who I would frequently encounter when I traveled from O'Hare Airport. Now this one, also in her early 20s, she was 21 about, and man, she had a body like a tight Coke bottle. And of course that TSA uniform hugged every single curve. Legit. And I mean, so she had smooth dark chocolate skin. That's one of the most memorable things that I can recall about her. About 5'5". To be honest with you, gentlemen, and let this just be the lesson, her face left a lot to be desired. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, her body was a 10, but the face was on 4.5 on a good day. Let me be real. So the lesson of this is Nuclear P can come in any package. It doesn't have to be a beauty queen, literally, for the Nuclear P to be attached. But beyond that, after we had, spoken to each other and just interacted at the airport, fast forward, when we made it back one day to her Northside apartment, it was all the way on. And I mean, being inside this P was just like insane. I mean, the walls, the windows fell away. There were no borders, there were no boundaries. I mean, just literally just trying to process this P when you're just being inside it is just insane. I mean, that triple black dot, all of my more spiritual or hermetic system brothers would understand where I'm coming from when I say the triple black dot. Anyway, it was immaculate. To describe it would be as the following: it was rubbery, it was wet, it could grip my pipe no matter what position. I mean, we were standing up, we were sitting down, we were laying down, reverse cowgirl, in the bathtub, the shower. I mean, from every direction, she had enough pussy control to whereas those walls could grip me and just pull me in after every stroke. Legit. She was ambitious, and she spoke about her dreams and travels and all of this, like woven to webs as the summer rain went on and on into the nights inside of her studio apartment. And when I think about it, when we try to identify what nuclear P is, it all comes down to the sort of perfect storm of energy. A woman having a great body. It tends to be attached to young women, but as with my third example, it basically stays with her for life. I mean, let's just be real. So energy is everything. Her mentality, her vivaciousness, her being somewhat crazy, all factors into what makes nuclear P. And that takes us to the third example. Again, let me just restate, I do not know Erykah Badu. I've not ever met her. I would love to meet her. She has one of the my favorite records of all time, in Mama's Gun. But let's get into it. Erykah Badu was born Erykah Abi Wright, February 26, 1971, and her most notable relationships include Andre 3000, Common, and Jay Electronica. Now, if we take a look at these three artists' career trajectories before and after having gotten with Erykah Badu, it's no secret that all of these three guys had portals that opened and manifested stellar careers and lives even after leaving her presence. The one thing that they all had in common, though, was that after being in her presence, their image and personas changed. I mean, it was like this overnight evolution. Like they stepped into a time machine or a spaceship. I think a spaceship is more appropriate when describing the stark change in their personas. She's literally the mothership. That's the best way to describe Erykah Badu, and that nuclear P right there. That is the mothership. And I think that speaks to the type of energy that nuclear P is capable of producing. The fact that she cut Jay Electronica with a knife in the same setting where they had just been laughing prior to. Now he quotes this in one of his autobiographical sort of statements. And Common has his experiences, and definitely Andre 3000. We're talking about that song, Sorry Miss Jackson. But in any case, the common thread in nuclear P is that it's attached to a woman who has unbridled passion and energy and the perfect storm of a great body, because if you've seen the pictures of Erykah Badu, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Rubbery snapback pussy that is wet, warm, and just right for your particular member. But what's crazy is, and speaking to other gentlemen who had been with my two examples, and obviously multiple examples with Erykah Badu, it's the type of pussy that stretches and fits and accommodates different guys, which is even crazier. So there's really no way to completely put nuclear P in a box, pun intended. But at the end of the day, once you find it, gentlemen, like I said before, ride that ride for as long as you can. Don't get too close to the flame, because you can lose yourself. Use it to manifest the things that you are aspiring to become, because nuclear P at the end of the day, I think, can best be described as the mothership. And that's all I got for today, and until next time, this is your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying, Hot House members, stay sharp and mission focused. Later.